Yes, the other day I have done with the Constitution as the living document, and today we come to the last of the chapter from the book Indian Constitution at Work, from that book, The Philosophy of the Constitution. Now listen one thing, what happens many a time when we think about a constitution, the only word which comes to our mind is that that it is actually a book of rules and regulations, isn't it? We think that a constitution is nothing more than a book of rules and regulations, but every constitution has a philosophy of its own. We come to know several things from the constitution. As for example, from the Constitution of India, you will come to know what kind of a state is India, what is the nature of the state of India, what is the basic characteristic of the Indian state. Together with that, you come to know about several ideologies, several objectives which the Indian Constitution gives to its people. As for example, you have learnt about the fundamental rights, the directive principles of state policy. We have come to know about the different parts of the government, how is the government made up of, what are the different parts of the government, what are the structure of the different parts of the government, what are the functions of the different parts of the government. So all these kinds of things, you come to know only from the Constitution. So Constitution will be wrong for us to imagine that the Constitution is nothing more than a book of only rules and regulations. If you want to know the entire country, if you want to know about the entire country, the nature, its structure, everything, if you want to know, you have to go through the Constitution, isn't it? It is from the Constitution we come to know so many things, that as I have told you, that the nature of India, nature means India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Then we come to know that liberty, equality, fraternity and justice, these are the objectives which it tries to give. Then we have come to know what is the nature of India as a state. India is a parliamentary form of government, which I have told you so many times. Together with that, we have seen that India is also federal in structure. Then you have come to see that India is having two sets of government, one at the center, one at the state. Then you are having, that the government is made up of three different parts: the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, and every different organ is performing different functions, isn't it? Together with that, you have come to know about decentralization of powers when you have studied about the chapter on local governments, isn't it? So we are coming to know about the nature of India also. So all this, they come within the scope of the philosophy of the Constitution. If we come to know that we are citizens of India, how do we know this, that we are citizens of India? Because it is in the book of the Constitution, it is mentioned that these are the particular qualifications. If you have these qualifications, you will become the citizen of that particular country. And if you become the citizen of a country, you will be given these kinds of rights and freedoms. So when we are talking about the fundamental rights, when we are talking about the directive principles of state policy, from where are we learning about them? From where are we knowing about them? We are actually knowing about them from the Constitution. So what we come to see is that the Constitution is not simply, it is not merely a book of rules and regulations. It is the Constitution also, it is a philosophy of the country to which we belong. Philosophy, that means in very short, it will describe you what is India like, what are the basic characteristics of India as a democratic nation. So if you are a citizen of a democratic country like India, what are the things which you should be getting from India? Clear? So it is said that we should always approach we should always go for a political philosophy approach of the Indian Constitution. As on page number 221, you come to see that the various reasons why we should take up a political philosophical approach to the Constitution of India. The first one you see, it is because we need to understand the conceptual structure of the Constitution. Yes, we should know what is the structure of the Indian Constitution, and it is from this Constitution you come to know that India is a federal in structure, the judiciary is single integrated judiciary, we get single citizenship, India is a parliamentary form of government, the legislature is having two houses, we have two kinds of executive, that is the nominal executive, the real executive. Together with that, you know, we come to, it is a coherent vision of society and polity, conditional upon an interpretation of the key concepts of the Constitution. Yes, the society where we are living, the political structure where we are existing, we come to know about them only from the Constitution. What kind of a society is India? Clear. What kind of a political system India follows? From where will you come to know? Will you come to know from the Google? You will say me, that means we will come to know from the Google. But Google also gets its information from where? It will come to know from actually the Constitution. Constitution actually gives you all the information that what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what should not be done, what should be done as a citizen of a particular country. Then last one you see, the Indian Constitution must be read in the conjunction with the Constituent Assembly. That means whenever we are talking about the Indian Constitution, we must reflect to the Constituent Assembly which has actually framed the Constitution of India. So when we are talking about the Constitution, we are not only learning about the Constitution of India, we are starting from which part? We are starting from that particular point where it was decided that India will be having a constitution, and in that respect, you know, we are coming to know about the Constituent Assembly, what were the debates and discussions which had taken place within the Constituent Assembly, and how you know that the Indian Constitution was actually formed. Now another, on page number 23, you come to see that Constitution as a means of democratic transformation. What do you mean by this? You know, Constitution as a means of democratic transformation. Now please try to understand what does this mean. You know, before 1947, when I have talked to you about the very first chapter, that Indian Constitution, where, why and how, that particular chapter, the first chapter, then I have told you that India was under imperial rule, under the British imperial rule for more than 200 years, isn't it? India gained her independence in the year 1947. So after India gained her independence in 1947, what kind of a decision was taken? It was taken, the decision was taken that the monarchy which was practiced in India will actually be transformed into a democracy. Democracy means where the power shall be in the hands of the people of the country. The people will have the freedom to form the government, and if they are not satisfied, they will also enjoy the freedom to remove that government, isn't it? But as I have told you before, that it is not possible for all people of India to go and take part in the governmental process. So what did we decided? We decided that we will be transforming, we will be surrendering all our powers at one place. And what was that place? That is the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is actually a reflection of the democratic spirit of India soon after independence. Clear? It is in the Constitution, it is clearly mentioned that what shall be the powers of the people of the country, and what should be the structure of India as a democratic nation. So the Constitution of India is itself a document, a testimony to the fact that India has got transformed from imperial monarchy to a democracy, because you know, we know that it is not possible for us to go for a direct democracy, because in a country where you have millions of people, how is it possible that all of us, those who are giving votes, those who are having voting rights, how is it possible for us that all of us will go and we will become a part of the government? It is not possible. So what we have decided, that yes, power will be in the hands of the people of the country. That means India will be a democracy, but together with that there will be some written rules and regulations which will have to be followed by all, and this will be applicable to all. Even the President of India, even the government of India will be bound to obey these rules and regulations. So although the power has been transformed to the people, so we people have willingly, with all our will, we have we have actually put these powers in one place, and what is that place? That is actually the Constitution. Clear? So Constitution is actually a very, very unique example of democratic transformation of India, because we know that after independence, not only after independence, when you have started with the first chapter, I told you that from 1946 onwards, the decision was taken that the Constitution of India will be formed. So this was the very first instance where we could, where the people of India started dreaming of a democratic country. Soon after the decision was taken that a Constitution of India will be formed, and after the Britishers they go away, this Constitution will actually be put into practice. So the Constitution is the greatest proof of what? That India has got itself transformed into a democracy after 1947. Next comes the topic, why do we need to go back to the Constituent Assembly? So we all know that the Constitution of India was formed by a body, and what was the name of that body? The name of that body is the Constituent Assembly. And when the work of making the Indian Constitution, it started somewhere in the year 1946, and it was completed by the year 1949, 26th of November. But one thing we all have to admit, one thing which we have done in the previous chapter only, Constitution as a living document, there only one thing we have found out, or we have found that there have been so many constitutional amendments in India. Why? So answering that particular question, this particular topic is related to that why should we need to go back to the Constituent Assembly? It was the Constituent Assembly which has formed the Constitution of India, isn't it? But imagine in 1946, 1949, take for example 1950 till date today, 2020, so many years have passed by. Do you think that the situation of that time when the Constitution was being formed and the situation and the society of today's era, both are same? No, not at all. There have been drastic changes, tremendous changes in the demands of the people, not only in the demands of the people, even in the society where we are living, isn't it? So keeping in mind about the huge changes which had occurred in so many years, so what we need to do is that we need to go back to the Constituent Assembly, and there only what happens, you know, we will have to include many, this is the view of many historians, that we need to go back to the Constituent Assembly once again, because the society, the scenario of India during that time when the Constitution of India was being formed, and in today's world, when in today's modern era, you know, there have been tremendous amount of changes. So in order to keep pace with the changing situations, we also need to bring about certain changes in the constitution. You know, many of us, you know, we have this opinion that the constitution of India has become stereotype. Stereotype means it's even today, you know, as I have told you when I was teaching you the chapter on judiciary, I have talked to you about one particular thing, and the name of that particular concept was judicial review, which means that if a law is made and if that law is not according to the constitution, what will happen? Then that law will come to the judiciary, and if the judiciary finds that any particular law is not matching with the laws of the constitution, then what will happen? The judiciary can suspend that law, not suspend, I will say the judiciary can reject that law. But imagine of the situation that time in 1950 and today 2020 is the situation the same? Not at all, not at all. From magical, I will say miraculous changes have taken place. Clear? So, a law which was made in 1950 and keeping in mind those laws, now if a law is being made upon the demands of the people, and when we find that that law is not according to the constitution, we cancel that law, we declare, where we reject that law only on the basis of judicial review. This is also not justified, because situations have changed radically. Clear? You see that previously, you know, we people, if it was many a time, you will see that our grandmothers and grandfathers talking that we were satisfied with only one thing, and you people nowadays, you have so many needs, isn't it? But one thing they forget, that the situation, the condition where when they were living, when they were kids, and in today's era when you were kids or when we were kids, situations have changed randomly. So, our needs, our demands will never match. So, in the same way, the laws which were framed during that time, so many years before, and what is today's situation, the situation has changed randomly. So, we need to go back to the constitution, so that certain parts of the Indian constitution need to be altered, so that a law which is being made depending upon the wish of the people, depending upon the demands of the people, but when that law is coming to the judiciary is declaring that law to be null and void and rejecting that particular law, that is also not justified. Clear? So, this is the reason why we need to go back to the Constituent Assembly. Now, we will see what are the basic political philosophy of the Indian Constitution. You know, it is given word by word, part by part it is given. So, when we are talking about them, you know, we will no need to discuss them all in details like that. Yes, all the points will have to be included, but you try to summarize them and you try to give them. So, now now we are starting with the political philosophy of the Indian citizens. First one is individual freedom. You know, being citizens of a country, being the citizens of a democratic country of India, you know, all citizens should be given certain kinds of freedoms in the forms of rights. You have already studied about rights in the chapter. There is a chapter on fundamental rights in this particular book. Also, there is a chapter on rights on that particular book, that is political theory. So, in order to have a better life, a life of development, a life of prosperity, a life where you can say that yes, I have achieved everything in my life, you know, every constitution, this is very, very important, that the constitution of a democratic country must make a mention of the democratic rights or freedoms of the people of the country. This is the basic feature of the Constitution of India, that Indian Constitution, India being a democratic constitution, you know, it gives to its people certain rights and freedoms. This is the first point, first philosophy. Second one is social justice. Social means in the society, which means that in the society, you know, there must be justice. What kind of justice? All kind of justice. Social, economic, political, cultural, religious, every kind of justice should be made. Why? Because here, you know, no discrimination should be made on the basis of caste, religion, gender, place of birth, economic standard, anything. Any person, you know, what is right for him, what is apt. Apt means what is suitable to that particular person. You must be, that particular thing must be given to that particular person. If someone is working at a higher rank and he is serving for the country, so he should be getting what? In amount, in proportion to the amount of labor which he is giving for the country, in proportion to that. It should not be like this, that a person who is working as a administrator and I as an ordinary citizen, we will demand for the same facilities. This also is not possible, because what everybody should be given what he or she deserves. This is social justice. If you are serving for great, if your service is great, more, higher, then you should be given in proportion to that. Clear? So here, while giving you what you owe means what you deserve, there should be no discrimination. Now you cannot go and ask that you are giving the Prime Minister or the President so much of facilities, you should also give us, because we are also the citizens of India. Now you have to imagine that the kind of job they are doing and what they are getting, it is in proportion to the service which they are providing for the country. Clear the concept of social justice? Next one is respect for diversity and minority rights. Yes, we all know that India is a land of diversity. As I have told you that the best tagline of India, what is the tagline of India? Unity in diversity. So India is a land of I'll say multiplicity. Multiplicity in terms of culture, in terms of language, in terms of religion, everything. Clear? So as India has given place in the Indian Constitution for this diversity, so this diversity must be respected. Clear? And it is very clearly mentioned in the Indian Constitution that there can be no discrimination on the basis of this kind of diversity, whether it is in the form of rights, whether it is in the form of privileges or in the form of opportunities, all should be given that kind of opportunity. And also the minorities. Minorities means those who are lesser in number. And we know that Indian Constitution is, according to me, I'll say that Indian Constitution is the only constitution in the world which has actually made scope, made way for so much of diversification and acceptance of so much of multiplicity, and provided for so much of reservation for all kinds of diversities, for all kinds of minority groups which are present in India. Clear? Nowhere, if you go any part of the world, you will not get so much of reservations, so much of facilities being provided to these groups. Next comes secularism. We all know that India is a secular country, which means that India does not have any national or official religion of its own. Just the point before only I have talked about that India is a land of diversity. That means people belonging to different religion, we live together. Clear? And it is because of this reason, remember that no religion in India has been given the status of an official religion. Why? Because if you give any religion the status of a national religion, other religions will be discriminated. So here, you know, in India, the Indian Constitution clearly mentions that India is a secular state, which means that there is no diversity in terms of, no national religion. All have the rights to practice and propagate or spread the religion of their own choice. Clear? And the next part of the chapter I will be completing tomorrow, and I will give you the questions tomorrow itself. Clear? Okay. Do you have any doubts, dear? Ma'am, what will be the syllabus for Paul says? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Do you remember that previously I have given you one syllabus? Do you remember that syllabus? One syllabus I have given before. Do you remember that? What was that, Riddha? What was that? Please tell me. Riddha Sanjeevani, you have written yes. Just tell me what were the syllabus. Political theory chapter 1 and freedom. And freedom. No, this is not right maybe. Chapter 2. Sanjeevani, is this Meghna and others, was this the syllabus which I had given you? One for chapter 1 and another from chapter 2. Two chapters from, yes, this will be the syllabus. Yes, this was the one I have given you. That means 2 chapters from political theory and 2 chapters from this book, Indian Constitution at Work. So, from Indian Constitution at Work, the first chapter, Constitution, why and how, and the second chapter, rights in the Indian Constitution. And from political theory, what was the first chapter? Introduction, political theory, that political theory and introduction, isn't it? Political theory. Okay, let 2 chapters from this book, 2 chapters from that book. Is it okay to all of you? Is it okay to all of you? Okay. Okay, thank you very much.